Welcome back to We Still Like Each Other, the podcast. I'm Travis.
And I'm Stephanie.
And this is the podcast where we show that the honeymoon stage can last forever.
Forever and ever.
Hi, my love.
Hey, baby.
What's up?
Nothing much.
We back with another week of us.
Of us, yeah. I'm like, of what?
Of love.
Long weekend. Happy Martin Luther King Day.
Been thinking about this all week.
Yeah. I've been thinking about creating a life where we don't have to look forward to weekends for like our peace. But in the meantime, thanks to capitalism, I think they need to implement that everyone's entitled to like a 3-day weekend at least once or twice a month.
So I know in the UK they have, I think it's still going on. There's a pilot going on. I can't remember the amount of companies, but a decent amount of companies are part of this program where they're testing out
a 4-day work week.
4-day work weeks. And apparently it's been going really well.
Yeah, because I feel like people are more productive in those 4 days versus coming in 5. I kind of how nurses work. They don't work like a full week, but they work more hours. Right? They work like 12-hour shifts. I used to always think like that would be so much better than having to like work 5 days a week.
Yeah, I will say I'm grateful that at least 1 day a week I can work from home.
And it took COVID for that to happen. Because if not, you would have been working 5 days a week from the office.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot what I was going to say next. We were talking about work, 3-day weekends. Lost my train of thought.
Getting old there, buddy.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. That even if you are working from home or you're a stay-at-home mom, a homemaker, you need a day off. I noticed that I have a lot of guilt over taking breaks or being like, I don't want to do anything. But it's like any other job, you have a day off. You know, so I got to force myself to take those breaks, to like lay on the couch and watch TV or scroll on Instagram.
What does that look like for you, though? Because you don't stop being a mother.
Yeah, I don't stop being a mother, but I guess maybe not putting so much pressure on like projects around the house or activities with the kids. Like we could have a day, like of course I'm taking care of them. Like we're eating.
She's like, I'm not touching any of them. Don't talk to me.
Like I'm changing diapers, where I'm feeding them, whatever. But I'm not like taking on big projects or big activities with the kids or groceries, laundry, you know, a very chill day.
I know that's very difficult for you.
It is.
The plan tomorrow is to almost do nothing.
You see, like it's hard because I'm like, I don't want to do anything tomorrow. But then I'm like, should I take advantage of this extra day that you're home to like set myself up so that Tuesday through Friday is like easier and I don't have any major tasks those days and I could self-care, I could pod and do those kinds of things worry-free.
I think we can take it lighter. Like, obviously, we're going to have our couch potato time, but I think we should, we still have stuff to do with the podcast and stuff like that. So I feel like it can be a light day, maybe not a do nothing.
Do nothing. I was thinking, I was like, I'm not doing anything tomorrow, but I might have to do some stuff. Like a little bit.
Little bit.
Anything special happen in your week that you want to talk about?
No, unless you got something I forgot.
You always forget, baby. We always recap our week. Why don't you be like, okay, I'm going to talk about this that happened this week?
What happened special in my week? Because I feel terrible.
I didn't mean special. I just meant, like, is there anything you want to share? You got nervous, like you missed the anniversary or something?
Ooh. I always look at, I remember our marriage date, but the other day I like kind of psyched myself out that I was thinking of the wrong date.
Oh, when I asked you, I was like, when's our anniversary? But why did I ask? Something, I must have said
I asked
something.
you the day, when did we get married? And it was kind of like to double confirm what I was already thinking.
What?
Because time is flying. Yeah. It's really flying.
I'd be forgetting what year. I was like, are we going to make 7 years or 8 years married? I don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I'm thinking like, all right, we got Valentine's Day coming up. We have our anniversary. Reverse a little. We got Eli's birthday, Valentine's Day, our anniversary. And then I think we're good until June.
Yeah. St. Patrick's Day. No, I'm kidding. Mother's Day is in May.
Fuck. You see?
But we don't do anything.
I know, but I want to acknowledge. I know that we've established like pretty strict ground rules on gifts, but I feel like there can still be nice gestures.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether it's cooking a nice breakfast or something. I still want to remember it. Flowers aren't that expensive.
We came into 2023 like we need to save our money. We need to grind. We need to like really put our all into the podcast and where we want this brand to go. And then it's like so many events have been happening and it's like unavoidable.
We said, it was like, we're saying no to everything.
But like Eli got invited to a kid's party and it's like a friend he really enjoys talking to. He doesn't get to see often. So it was like, of course we're going to take him. We
got invited to something next week that's like a no-brainer. So we have to figure it out. Yeah, it's like a
special event and we're like, we're going to figure it out, get a babysitter somehow. We got to go. It's so hard to really be like, I'm staying my ass home.
Yeah, but we try.
But we're intentional. We're not like doing shit we don't really want to do.
Yeah.
You know, it's stuff that we feel like will bring us joy. All right. So I wanted to jump into topic number 1, and it's kind of with my weekly recap. I was listening to a podcast you listen to, and a topic came up that kind of I wanted to talk about. And the first thing is something that's been on my mind lately. So if you listen in, you know, I've been kind of on this healing journey, this reflection, trying to just be a better person for myself. And every once in a while, when I learn a new lesson or I realize something I could apply in my life, I kind of tell you about it. And one of the things I said to you was, I sometimes worry so much about the future. Retirement account, college funds, do we have enough space? Like, is this my forever home? You know, I just fill myself with worry about things that are years down the line, that it kind of stunts me from doing anything. Like I become like frozen and full of fear. Mm-hmm. But if I take the time to be present and, you know, do things daily, that'll basically prepare me for those things I'm worried about in the future. It'll actually prevent the stuff that I'm scared from happening if day to day I'm putting in the work to put us in a position where those fears will never come to light.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think it is about those things that just kind of cripple you? I agree with everything that you worry about for the future. Mm-hmm. But what's hard to wrap my head around is like, all right, college, for example, that goes with like our finances. Mm-hmm. So you worry about it so much that you're like, I can't even put a plan into.
I think what's happening is that I'm so worried about it. I'm making the problem so big that I think I'm not even capable of tackling it. So like, no matter what I do right now, it's not going to stop this big fear I have from coming to life.
Gotcha.
So it makes everything I do seem pointless. Like, why even bother? Gotcha. Why am I putting an effort if this big scary thing is going to come and, you know, ruin my life later anyway?
That makes sense.
I think that's kind of what it is. And it's also, if you spend so much time worrying, there's no way to be present and do things if your mind is somewhere else.
Yeah. It's kind of like if you've dug such a deep hole and you're like, there's no way I could climb out of this. But if you like really took the time to
break it down,
look at the structure, and you're like, I could do this.
If I start today, I could put a plan into effect to like get me out of this hole. But if I'm just, oh my God, this hole's so big, I could never get out of it, then you won't ever do anything.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm like, oh shit, because I had just said that to you. And then when we're listening to the podcast, he mentions how his therapist told him that anxiety and faith cannot coexist. So faith is like a word usually used for like religion, right? Like, I have faith that things would get better because of this higher being that I believe in. But I think we could look at it as optimism, as manifestation, as, you know, believing in yourself.
I was just about to say that. Like, even when I heard it, I didn't think religion. I was just thinking more so like that belief that you can achieve great things.
But if you're full of anxiety, which I also don't want to use so lightly all the time, but if you're full of worry, if you're full of, oh my God, what if? And you're so afraid of the future all the time, you can't also simultaneously believe in yourself and the things that you can achieve. You can't at the same time have this optimistic view of the world if you're full of worry. And I'm like, that's put exactly into a smaller, digestible way of saying what I had just told you earlier. And then there was another thing he mentioned about how to get out of that state, like how to get out of the anxiety and the worry of the future. And it's like his therapist told him, tell yourself your hero story.
I thought about you immediately as soon as he said that.
Why?
Because you have a pretty amazing story, although to you is probably very minor, but I feel like if you like wrote down your story from age as early as you can remember to where you are now in life, and it's not just you're like more so like focusing like on your upbringing, the type of person you could have become, the type of path you could have gone down, and where you are now, being a mother, having your master's, and just a plethora of things. Like you have a very impressive resume, but your story, for me at least, says you shouldn't have.
I shouldn't have been like,
you shouldn't have had these things on your resume, all these positive bullet points.
Okay.
And it could have been very easy for you to say at some point in your life that, look at the cards I were dealt.
Why bother? Why bother?
You could have been crippled, but you decided not to be. So I think that advice is that advice is perfect for someone like you. You're telling yourself your own hero story, because your story inspires me. So
when you said that, I was not thinking that at all. I took it different. I interpreted it differently. I thought telling yourself your hero story was kind of all the things that fill you with anxiety and fear of the future. What if the opposite happens? What if everything happens right? What if everything goes well? What if you do what you have to do to get yourself to the places you want to be? Tell yourself that story instead of worrying because negative things will happen. What if the positive things happen? So what would be my hero story? Like if I were able to write it out and what I want my life to be and what my hero story of future me would be, think of that instead. But I think both could be right.
Yeah, I feel like you have kind of written one. It might not be a complete one, but yeah. So I can see it that way too. But I guess I interpreted it wrong or differently.
I think there's both ways. Like now that you said that, I'm like, you know what? Like I think looking at how far you've come is helpful as well, right? Because you're like, I've been through worse. Like this ain't shit. So yeah, I think both. It depends on the person. Like what motivates you more? Looking at how far you've come or imagining like where you want to be in life and like really kind of manifesting that you're there. Like that's yours. It's meant to be.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go into this is topic one. I kind of went off on a tangent, but I wanted to ask you, like, how do you define love?
I'm always scared when you ask me definitions because TikTok cancels me. I define love as never ending. I feel like...
What is never ending though? What is it? Like, what is love?
Love is... I don't know. Love is like protection. Love is comfort. Love is understanding. I think, I can't remember if it was someone on TikTok, but they asked you or asked us what we do when we don't love each other or like each other or something.
Love each other.
And you said, you know, at this point we're family. And I feel like that's like perfect way to define it. We're family, in not a creepy way, but and that love is established. Although there may be times where we disappoint each other, doesn't change the fact that we're family and we love each other. But we have to do the work to be more for the romance, for the friendship. because that love isn't going to be enough.
Not at all. I love your hair. Put some chapstick on. So you define love kind of like in the concept of a relationship. So how would you define love in terms of like self-love?
So I touched on this on Patreon this week, so
okay,
perfect. But I just feel like it's finding time to do the things that fill your cup, that bring you joy.
Okay.
I think a lot of times we fall victim to like this system that's built where you have to go to work 5 days a week, and there's like very few pockets where you can actually take time for joy. And I think self-love is forcing yourself to maximize those small pockets of time.
Okay.
It's easy to say, oh, only have an hour, only have 2, or there's just whatever, I got to do X, Y, and Z. And there's so many more important things than my own self-love. So yeah, I just view it as taking the time to fill your cup, however that may look.
I wanted to talk about how love and self-love isn't as obvious as like those things. Like those things are real and valid, and they exist within love. But love is also sometimes not the stuff that's pretty or the stuff that we see in a couple goals Instagram account. I think of like the day-to-day stuff that shows that we love each other and that we take care of each other. And on your podcast, it was Brilliant Idiots, Andrew Schultz says, you know, I walked into the bathroom and my wife replaced my toothbrush. And I just felt like, wow, like he felt so much gratitude from such a simple act of service. Because he's like, you know, she could have just changed hers, or, you know, she could have been complaining about the fact that I never changed my toothbrush. But instead, she just changed it for me. And it kind of made me feel like now I owed her a gift or show her love in a way, because that act of service was love for me. And I think that moment, it just made me think of how couples fail each other by failing to acknowledge those small ways that we show each other love. He could have just, oh, I got a new toothbrush, and been like, well, duh, she bought her toothbrush, she gets mine, like no big deal. What is there to be grateful for? Or she could have been like, he's nasty, I don't know why he doesn't change his toothbrush. But it's like, you could have just changed it for him. It just took a small task off his plate. And a lot of us tend to ruin those small little moments of connection. And we need to do a better job of completing those small acts of service that don't seem like love. They don't seem cool. They don't seem like a fairy tale of love, but they're impactful. And then we also have to do a better job of showing gratitude when it happens within our relationship.
Yeah, I think I'm fully aware of the fact that there are so many things that you do to just give me a better, just a better life in general. And things I forget to do for myself, things that if you weren't in my life would probably never get done. Health, whatever, a lot of things. But like even the other day, you asked me, do you want to get on the bike? And I was just really tired. I said, no, but don't stop asking.
Yeah. And I asked with like a little bit of hesitation, because I don't want you to feel like I'm judging you in any way. But I'm like, maybe he just needs a little motivation. So I was like, do you want to get on the bike before you get in the shower? You were like, no. I was like, all right, I'm just asking. You were like, no, ask again. I was like, okay.
Yeah, and it wasn't bullshit. Like, I really do want you to ask again.
Yeah.
But just in that moment,
yeah,
I was exhausted. And the idea of getting on the bike wasn't on my mind. But now it's like in the back of my mind. And, you know, I want to do it. I know every time I say I have any type of ailment, I really see concern in your face. And I don't want to make those worries that you have a reality.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, today I was, you know, complaining about something, and you're like, what hurts? And you're like, you're probably like Googling, like, this isn't normal. So, yeah.
So that reminds me of what we were talking about, like the worry that we have for the future, like you said, like about you getting sick or whatever, there's small things we could do every day that are going to decrease the chances of us getting sick in the future. So instead of worrying so much, like, oh my God, I don't want to be 60 and hunched over and I can't move, or, well, we could just start eating better and we could start working out now, take small steps every day. And then that worry we have won't even come to life.
Before we get off this, do you feel like I appreciate the small things you do?
Yes. I don't want us to live in a thank you train. Like every little thing we do is like, thank you, you're welcome. Like this super polite. That's unnatural for me. And I don't want that. I think you show your appreciation by, doing the things that bring me joy, participating in things with me that bring me joy, quality time together, touch, physical touch, acts of service for me. So just loving me back shows me that you appreciate that. I know there have been times though that when I feel like maybe there's more you could be doing to like pick up the slack around the house and stuff, I feel like I have to remind you of all the small things I do day to day. And we've had those conversations when I'm like, I do this and I do that and I need this. And like, what do you do? Do you feel like you can answer that question? Because I feel like when I've asked you, like, all right, you know that I make sure we have toilet paper and toothpaste and I change the toothbrushes and when our sheets have to get washed and like all these small things, do you feel like you do small things that are like showing love in not the typical ways?
I think, especially as of recent, like I've just been doing those things as well. Mm-hmm. So, and without being asked to. Mm-hmm. So whether it's, all right, I see like the kitchen's a mess, I get on it before it's like you're about to make dinner and you're like, I can't really do anything. This kitchen looks like crazy. So that type of stuff is in the back of my mind, taking out the garbage, or just more so, like we've said a few times, but we're not dirty, but we are messy. Like we'll take off a shirt, throw it here. So I'm very mindful of, hey, let me take 5 minutes before I sit back down and
pick up the little messes.
Up stuff. So I personally think I've been doing a better job. You have a front row seat to this show, so I don't know if you feel that or you've seen that.
I agree. I've noticed, like I think I mentioned it before, like you had just washed the bed sheets one morning and I was like, whoa, I don't remember the last time you just woke up and decided to do that. And yes, definitely with helping around the house a little bit more. And I think the point I'm trying to make is that that's love. Like that is love and showing love and appreciation. And sometimes we're like, oh my God, I work hard, I'm here. But I'm gonna say she because it's typically like a man saying this about a woman. Like, why does she need me to help around the house? Like, why? It's love. That's showing that you care for me by doing those small things to keep a household running, to keep a house in order.
The way I view it too is, well, this is a perfect example. The other day, you and Eagle Eye had to go out, and it was just me and the baby. Mm-hmm. And I was trying to balance doing a lot of things plus being a father, and it was hard. Mm-hmm. I even told you at one point I felt defeated because, like, we'll give the baby iPad time, but we like to limit it.
Or we like to wait, like most of the day, independent play.
Yeah. So, and I gave in early, and I felt defeated. I was like, fuck, like, but he was just not happy. And I also had things I had to do.
Yeah.
So in that moment, I imagine like, shit, this is what Stephanie does, 4 to 5 days a week without me. I couldn't imagine it. Plus coming home to a clean home, dinner's cooked, you look amazing.
Thank you.
Eli's taken care of. Mm-hmm. It's a lot. And I definitely, as time has gone on, I've grown appreciation for it. So if I can give back even in the smallest way, I'm here for it. So yeah, let me pick up after myself.
I'm going to give just a tip because I feel like it's important and a lot of people could probably learn from this. That day when I got home, although you did what you had to do, you kind of had like a defeated energy, like so happy for me to be home and like just look of like this was a lot. So I kind of was unsure about if you would want to do something like that again. Like, would you be okay with it? You know, and it kind of made me have a little bit of mom guilt. And I know it wasn't purposeful. Like, you didn't intend to like make me feel guilty. But a lot of whoever the primary parent is, when they step back to do anything for themselves, there's guilt there. There's worry. Like, do they need me? Is it okay? Is he overwhelmed? Is he stressed? So I think on top of allowing your partner to have that time alone and for you to take over the primary parent duties every once in a while, also kind of checking your tone and your attitude through it so that your partner doesn't feel guilty. You know what I mean? And just reassure them that like, oh, it was fine. We handled it. And that doesn't mean not be honest.
Yeah, because I was going to push back on that a little.
Yeah, I don't mean like don't tell me it was difficult even, you know, but there's a way to deliver it and when. You get what I'm saying? It's a slippery slope because I know that's my personal opinion. I know some primary parents might feel like, no, I want to know exactly how it went. Did he or she cry for too long because I left? And they want to know. Whereas I'm more so like, there's certain things you don't got to tell me.
He alive? All right,
He's
cool.
alive. He's good. Y'all good. Like, there's certain things I'd rather not know unless it's like a medical concern, something like insane. You know what I mean? But check your tone, check your attitude when you do take over those roles so there's less guilt for the primary parent.
Gotcha.
And when it comes to self-love, it kind of comes back to, I kind of brought it up, but then you wheeled me back in about it's not always just, oh, doing the things that fill my cup in terms of manicure, pedicure, video games, TV time. Is also those things that are not so cool. Therapy, working out. Working out, honestly, there's some crazy motherfuckers who genuinely like thrive on the feeling, the sensation. They can't miss it, the adrenaline, they need it. Really, for me, is a mindfuck. I convince myself to work out because I know that it's good for me. So because I love myself, you know? So it's like I'm doing it because I know that it's good for me.
So with that example, you basically have shown your self-love from the moment you start.
Yeah, it's like this is love. I love you. You take care of me. I need to take care of you. You know? So self-love is sometimes not cool. It's not sexy. It might be inconvenient. Scheduling that dentist appointment you've been putting off, working out, drinking more water, breaking the patterns that we grew up with that are unhealthy. And that includes the shit we eat. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of us grew up eating only carbs and protein, no vegetables ever. And it's like, we got to unlearn those things and show ourselves love. And our parents did it. Like, I know fruits and vegetables go bad in the fridge faster and they're more expensive. So it was out of need and desperation, but we're able to change those habits to show ourselves we love ourselves. Self-help books, talking with friends about plans, just love, self-love isn't just Instagram. It isn't a spa day, always. It could be. It could help fill your cup. But love is a shit that's not cool, that's not pretty sometimes.
Beautifully said.
What ways do you think you need to show yourself love more?
I feel like I could dig a little deeper into, y'all seen me cry on this podcast. And I feel like those conversations that we've had where I have gotten emotional, it kind of stops there, right? Like I don't dig any deeper.
Or you don't revisit.
I don't revisit it and see like, why was that a trigger? Why did that bring out that emotion? Why, or what could I do to
address it?
Because I'm sure I don't know all the conversations we've had, but I'm sure if we start talking about certain things right now, I get emotional.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's a sign of someone who's healed or is doing the work. So I think that's a goal of mine in 2023, kind of just addressing things that I sweep under the rug, and more so for myself.
Well, I just wanted to say that getting emotional is doing the work. Like,
yeah, but I feel like I fail in the sense that, all right, I got emotional. Now what? All right, wipe your tears and let's laugh and keep it pushing.
Yeah, I get it. But I think crying is healthy.
No, I'm not. Listen, I was a huge crier as a kid, and I have no problem getting a good cry out now. It's not like I'm against emotions. I'm just saying, what do you do with that emotion after you've had it?
Yeah. And another thing for me is being okay with the emotions that come up, right? I told you this. I've had certain moments since having River that I'll have these moments of like extreme like sadness or unexplained sadness. Like nothing triggered me. Like I just have this heaviness in my chest and like this sensation in my face, like I want to cry. You ever have that? Like but something triggers you.
Yeah.
Like you're upset, we're having a deep conversation. But since having River, there's been a couple of times where it's just out of nowhere. Like there's a day that comes and I don't want to get out the bed.
I'm like, good morning. You're like, is it?
Yeah, right? And the first few times that it happened, I think I might have unintentionally made it worse by trying to fight it off, right? Like I'm trying to figure out why, what triggered me, what's wrong, and then trying to talk myself out of it. Like you should be so grateful, you should be so happy, and like kind of being upset with myself for just my body and my mind's natural cycle of sadness, right? And I think what the lessons I've learned more recently is that when I feel that, acknowledge it, be like, oh, I'm feeling sad. I know it will pass. Be sad right now. Don't punish yourself for it. Don't try to overwork yourself out of it. You need couch and TV and comfort food. Fine. This is going to pass. You're not going to feel like this forever. There's nothing wrong with you. It's a moment and just be in it.
Do you think it's a slippery slope though? Because like you said, I need couch time, I need TV time, I need comfort food. But it's like, if that's the cycle always, that's how, people get unhealthy.
Definitely. I feel like there's a difference between like a depressive episode where you probably need to communicate that with your therapist. Even what I feel, I should communicate it with a therapist, but not fighting it away. I think not resisting that sadness for myself is what I think. Now, if you suffer from depression or anxiety or something else, I also do believe like there's medication. I believe in medicating for mental health. Again, talk to your therapist about it. But in general, we have these moments of highs and lows. And I know for me, it's probably related to having a baby postpartum. And the last couple of times when it's happened, I think that acceptance of like, this is a cycle, is going to pass. This isn't who I am forever, has made it easier than the first couple of times when I just felt like, why me? Why is this happening to me? Like, I can't be this way. I have so many responsibilities to so many people that I love. Like, I can't be sad right now. And it just made it easier for me to deal with when I just accepted it.
Yeah, I get it.
All right, so let's move on to something a little lighter, I guess.
Maybe?
Okay. So do you have a did you know for us, babe?
I do. This one's a fun one. Did you know? Did you know after abstinence, vasectomies are considered the most effective method of birth control due to their long-term success rate of over 99%? In fact, only 1 to 2 women out of every 1,000 end up pregnant within a year of their partner receiving a vasectomy.
Those odds still sound too high for me.
So I heard someone talking about a vasectomy the other day, and apparently, I don't know this for a fact, but they say you have to like get out like 20 pumps of the stuff before you're able to like.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of, it reminds me of like when we change like the water filter on the fridge. I gotta
You gotta strain it.
I gotta get some like a few gallons of water out before we can drink it.
So nasty.
That just happened by accident, but yeah. So
drinking is always safe though.
Vasectomies.
Yeah. First of all, I think 1 to 2 in every 1,000 women still sounds like too risky for me. What the hell? I thought it was.
I'm sure if you look up the birth control stats.
That's true. Oh my! I would just die if you get a vasectomy and I still got pregnant. Like,
we have to name her Miracle.
Oh, we might have to go to Planned Parenthood.
Jesus Christ.
No, my God. Because it's like, if you decide on a vasectomy, it's like you're dead set on like, that's it.
Yeah, I forget, there was some famous, was a baseball player who had like 10 kids after his vasectomy or something.
Jesus, he needed another one.
Yeah. I'm about to look it up while you're talking.
So yeah, we actually we've had several conversations about whether or not you should get a vasectomy. And for a long time, I think we were decided, not a long time, but for like a good amount of time, we were decided that you would get a vasectomy.
Really quick, Antonio Cromartie welcomes 14th child, 3rd after vasectomy.
Oh my God.
So, well, he had 11, got a vasectomy, and then had 3 more.
3 more.
Hell no.
How many baby mamas? We're going to look that up later. Just because I'm nosy. No other reason. So yeah. What's going on? Why are we back and forth on whether you should get a vasectomy or not?
So, yeah, I feel like maybe a month ago, I was like, all right, handshake on a vasectomy.
Mm-hmm.
We're done.
Yeah.
We feel complete. Our boys are enough. We can't imagine starting over, even though we're still kind of in the start over phase, but still, like from 0 to 12 months is like very different.
Mm-hmm.
But then we start making love. And I feel like we've discussed this before, but me and Stephanie are very verbal during intercourse. And that's why we're not having another one. Yeah, River heard us talking about vasectomies and got a little upset.
It's like, I need a sister.
So where was I talking about? Yeah, so we're very verbal during intercourse. And, for us, sex isn't just like about an orgasm. It's very emotional. It's a lot of connecting going on more than just the physical.
Okay.
So with all that being said, you start, I don't know, for me at least, I start thinking about how great of an experience I had during your pregnancy. I mean, sexually, but more so like even emotionally. Like I felt like we really bonded during that time.
Okay. Even
more so. Crazy to say. So I'm like, selfishly, I kind of want that again. Maybe without thinking too far ahead to, all right, that's going to be for 9 months. And then you have another person to take care of.
I think I obviously did a little bit of research on this topic. And I think I remember reading that some people feel like this instinctual drive to like want to have children. And I think for us, that happens during sex. Because obviously sex is what happens. It's like what needs to happen to make a baby. So we have like this like primal instinct, like let's make a baby. Like like this urge that's like very real. And obviously modern day world, we have to be more logical about it. But that feeling, that primal instinct to like procreate is very natural. Yeah.
Didn't I have a did you know once about semen and planting it and
what?
Like, I don't know. I just feel like really connected when my semen is inside you.
Baby, that sounded disgusting. Don't say that again.
What? That's the science term, semen.
I know, but talking about it near me, no.
Okay.
Yeah, that was too much.
Let me take it out.
Yeah, take it out.
Take it out. Pull out.
Pull it out. Yeah. Anyway, so why did we decide not to have more kids? Like, what made us say, like, yes, shake on a vasectomy?
Are we still shaking on vasectomy?
No, we just changed our mind again. But like when we did say that, what were the reasons?
I think when you look at the bigger picture, I feel like for a lot of us, we use finances as an excuse, but we know people make it work with a lot less. But when you really think about time, it's not enough. Part of even like what we're doing right now, that's time away from our kids. It's an hour, but it's still time away from our kids, right?
Yeah.
And then that's not counting time where we're pouring into each other. We still have to keep the romance alive. I think a lot of times what happens is you're pouring into one more than the other and one is failing, right? So that's why you hear like a lot of statistics about we had a child and then our marriage dissolved.
Yeah. Because
either the mother or the father was pouring not too much sounds crazy, but
no, but it's possible. You give your kid all of your attention and then forget about your relationship.
So with that being said, you still have to balance, right? Balance your marriage, balance your relationship, but also pour into your children. And I feel like that's still something we struggle with till to this day. So it's like, all right, let's add a third. And out of nowhere, and our time management skills are just going to get so amazing.
Yeah, because money comes and goes. You could make more money in the future, but time, there's no way to buy more time or just have more time. So I think for me, that was the biggest reason. I was like, it's so selfish of us that if with 2 kids, we kind of have some guilt sometimes and feel like there's more we could be doing. Like now we're going to add a third.
Yeah. But with that being said, and even with knowing that, I still battle. Like I still battle with one more. There are days where it's rough with River, and I'm still like, shit. There's days where it's rough with Eli, and I'm like, maybe one more.
But why? Besides the sex and the primal instinct and like the just wanting to do it, what is it about children that makes you feel like you want more?
I've said this about River. I just felt like he is an extension of how I feel about you. It's like a manifestation of everything, like even sometimes the difficult words that I can't put together. So we had like these different stages of our relationship where it was just like, what can we do to like just put something to like something tangible for our love. And early on it was like moving in together, then it was getting married, then it was, I don't know, moving in together. I mean, like getting our own place together, because I moved in with you at one point, and then there's just always been something. And then even this podcast is something tangible. And River felt like that. Like he is our love manifested. So now I'm like, all right, what's more?
And I think you need to pump your brakes with that. Not like, I think maybe we want another kid. Fine. I don't think that should be the reason. Yeah. Because like what we discussed in the previous topic, like love is not some big grand gesture. It's not children. It's literally the small day-to-day things. And I feel like you show me love in a plethora of ways, and we're never going to run out of ways to show each other that we love each other. And I think having a child for that is a little bit selfish and like misguided.
Yeah. Listen, I'm very aware of this, and it's why I still do my vasectomy research. Yeah. Because I'm still on the fence. I'm not like scared of a vasectomy. I don't like the idea of any blades near my balls, but from what I heard, like I even had a conversation with a friend like 2 days ago, and he's like, "Yep, I got one. It's not bad."
I heard Shampoo Drum, her husband got one, and they like had sex the same day, or she like jerked him off the same day or something. That's crazy.
That sounds like something I would do.
Yeah.
I'm like, just do it
I
slow.
know. I'm like, that's crazy, and that sounds like something we would probably do.
Just do
like,
it slow. Just do it slow.
I'm gonna sleep downstairs. Leave me alone.
Yeah. So I don't know. 2 amazing boys, healthy boys, intelligent boys. I feel like my cup is full, so I don't want to be. Maybe it's best not to be greedy.
Yeah. So I did a little research on this, and I came across an organization called Stop Having Kids. And I was like, wait, what is this? So I'm going to read like the first paragraph of their mission. About Us page. And it says, truly caring for others. Stop Having Kids acknowledges that there is an unconscionable amount of needless suffering, injustice, and death in the world, with birth serving as a catalyst for it all. As a result, it is a moral imperative that we strive to prevent, not through coercion, pressure, or force, as many new lives as possible. We advocate for focusing time, energy, and resources that would have otherwise been allocated towards supporting new life into caring for and improving the lives of already existing individuals and places. Many people already support the concept of adopt, not shop, for companion animals. We believe in extending that principle to humans as well, taking care of those who we already have rather than breeding new lives into existence.
I feel like we discussed adoption early on.
I think this concept is kind of radical. Like, I do think, though, like, I get it. Like, I get what they're saying. I don't think you should convince people that they shouldn't have kids to now take care of everyone else. Yeah. But I do think that more people should be open to the idea of using adoption to expand their families, just to like make the world a better place, as corny as it sounds. But there are so many children that need homes, and I do think about that a lot.
In America.
Oh, that's another thing we were talking about. I think we were watching like Survivor, and there was like an Asian guy who had like white parents. And I'm like, why is it that so many people go overseas to like adopt kids when there's so many kids in America that need homes? What was the reason we came up with?
I thought we just put a pin in it.
Yeah. I think I said maybe it's easier. Like there's less.
Less loopholes.
There's more loopholes, I guess, overseas, right? Like it's easier.
Less loopholes. Less means you have to go through less hurdles.
No, loopholes is like ways to get around things.
Oh, so
hurdles
more
is different. Yeah. There are less hurdles.
Yeah, less hurdles.
There are less hurdles maybe to like adopt kids overseas. And listen, they need homes as well too. Like I'm not trying to say like they didn't deserve to be adopted.
Fuck them kids.
But yeah.
Back on point.
Back to what we were saying. I get it, but I feel like telling people stop having kids like as a topic of persuasion sounds a little strange to me.
I do. So maybe this isn't what they're saying here, but I do think you can tell people to stop having kids. Although at the beginning of the conversation where I was talking about finances and I said, you find a way. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you don't.
And it's also, you said, oh, we make it work. I don't want to just make it work.
You want to have a great life.
I want to have a good life. I don't want to be like, we got by, but we had love with all 20 kids. Like, I do think what you're going to say about the stop having kids is like not to be like the 19 and counting family, with so many children. It's a slippery slope. It's hard to talk about because it's like, I don't want to tell people what to do with their bodies. But I do think about the children and how they're affected by that, because even when we talk about the Nick Cannon thing, like he has a lot of resources, but time, like you're not going to be able to parent all these children that live in different homes, especially.
Yeah. And then then you get into the argument of what's more important, the finances or the time. Mm-hmm. Because although all those cannons, they're going to be well kept in terms of finances, mentally they may struggle.
Yeah.
But I do think you can make another argument for the finances part. Like, what type of quality of life are these kids going to have when you're struggling? Mm-hmm. Why add someone else to the struggle train or the struggle bus because of your, ill-planned sexual experiences?
Oh, so you feel like people who are just not using protection and just getting pregnant, like no plan for birth control. Okay, yeah, that happens, and that's very bad too. But what about the people who genuinely like, I just want to keep having kids. Like, that's what the Lord put me on this earth to do, to be fruitful.
No, he said the Lord. You sound like handsmaids.
Because I think of that 19 and counting family, and they were like super religious.
Oh, and that was their reason?
Yeah, like, like kind of just, if it's meant to be, it's supposed to be. Like, no protection. Like, we just keep having babies.
Crazy.
Yeah, I think that's kind of not fair either. And then what ends up happening is all the older kids end up helping raise the younger kids. So they become like parent number 2 or number 3.
Yeah.
So on the website of Stop Having Kids, they have a list of reasons why people want biological children. And I will say this whole organization is to convince people not to. So it sounds kind of biased. So I'm going to read the list. Give purpose and meaning to one's life. Haven't considered an alternative. Have someone who would care for them when they're older. I think about that. Like, that's not why I had kids, but
it's a nice bonus.
When I think about like the circle of life and how, you raise your kids, take care of them, and then they eventually will take care of you one day. But then I also think of like, I don't want my kids to have that burden of having to take care of me.
It's not really a burden, right? Because just like, just someone who could like check in on you and make sure, like, even if it's like, as far as like, all right, I think this assisted living is going to be what's best for you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But there are some people who have no choice. Like, their parents have no retirement plan, no savings, or, their first generation, they traveled here, they came from another country, so there's no 401k or anything. And they have the burden, literally. If I don't take care of my parents, what's going to happen to them? There's what you're saying, like the love, the respect, and the connection, kind of like in a relationship. You don't need your partner, but you guys have a connection and you there to support one another. So you want to have that with your children. But there are some people who need their children to take care of them, and I don't want that to be my case.
Yeah.
Hold on. Save a failing relationship or solidify a preposterous relationship or trap someone into an ongoing relationship.
Definitely heard of that before. That's on men trapping women.
Men trapping women.
Or vice versa, yeah.
Or just the idea that this is going to fix us. Mm. Boredom with existence. Desire to relive childhood. That one's big because I think what a lot of us tend to do if we had a fucked up childhood is that we want to make it so perfect now. We want to be like so much better than our parent. And it's like, that shouldn't be your sole reason for wanting to have kids, Longing to be unconditionally loved. Oh, so lacking love on your own. Meet the expectation of others. Continue one's legacy, genetics, bloodline, family name. That reminds me of like with adoption. I feel like one of the concerns I remember, like when I was younger, I would always think like, do you love an adopted child like as much as you love a genetic? Like if there's some genetic component to love. But now that I'm older and much wiser, like I don't think that's true.
Yeah, because my love for Eli is no different than it is for River.
And even if you adopt a child and you raise them, how you're not gonna love them? I do think it kind of is strange if you adopt a child into a family that has their own biological children. It might make the dynamic kind of strange, and it might make that child feel maybe less a part of the family, but I think that's part of it.
If you're adopted, call us.
Yeah, and I also think it's better than the alternative, right? Like, it's still, you found a family. You probably are happy with that. Yeah. Meet the expectations of others. I think I read that already. Create a fantasized happy family. Yep. I feel like that's also with the unconditional love. Like, you think like, oh, I'm supposed to have this sitcom family. Make holiday gatherings extra cheerful. Fit in with others who have kids. Fulfill a traditional gender role. For labor and profit potential, which is wild. Like, I never thought of that, but I feel like a lot of farm families, especially maybe not in modern farm families, but back in the days, like, you needed kids to help you tend to your horses and the pigs and shit. To be happy and content with life, to have a miniature version of themselves or someone to control and possess, that could be tricky. We assume that, like, your kids are going to have the same interest as you, which is like, you know, we look at like basketball players, or you assume their kids are going to want to play basketball. What's a characteristic you want your kids to have from you?
Video games. I feel like that's pretty general. I want them to have like really good problem solving skills. Yeah. I feel like that's a strength of mine, and I hope that they pick up on it. Whether
but
it's
that's
like
something everybody wants to have. I don't think you have any like super.
But you don't think that could be like a genetic thing?
It could be. But I feel like anybody will want their kid to have good problem solving skills. Yeah. I'm talking about like you don't have like a
hobby or interest,
or a something that you're really, really good at that's like out of the ordinary, like a basketball, an NFL player, NBA player, a singer, a dancer, or if you're like a freaking, I don't know, rocket scientist, like something super, what's the word? Admirable that you think your kid is gonna just follow. I'm trying to say you don't have anything admirable, baby.
This is getting really messy.
Now that I'm saying it, like, I'm like, wait, that sounds terrible.
Like nothing. Like I know you don't have these things. I think I've seen it already with River, but my demeanor. Like I've said, I although there are times where I need to pull a little more, I think my cool demeanor has been a strength of mine, and I think that's something River has or may have.
Yeah, he's very like chill.
He's showing signs of it.
Yeah.
Or no signs.
Like, I have similar personalities. Yeah. And it's weird because he's one, but like I could see it sometimes. I'm like, oh, you're just like your dad. And it's like Eli's just like me.
He's a ball of energy. Like he could literally light up a car. Just we gotta strap him to it.
To have someone who is cute and adorable, fear of regretting not having kids. I think that's kind of what's stopping us from the vasectomy. That fear of regret. Like maybe right now, because of the way our life is financially, time-wise, it just feels like too much. But I'm like, what if in 5 years we're like in this perfect spot and like the money's right, we have a bigger house, like we work for ourselves, and it just feels like now we can have another kid. Like, what if we regret that?
When's the age that it's probably not a good idea for you to have kids?
For women, it's like after 35, it becomes risky. But so many women have kids after 35. Yeah. It's not like, oh my God, 35, you're done for life. And even personally, me, as like just feeling the difference that River's pregnancy had on my body versus Eli's being 23 and 31, I don't want to have kids past 35 really, which is another reason why I'm like, you should get a vasectomy, because I'll be 33 this year. Do you think we'll be ready in the next year or two?
How old am I?
You'll be 35 this year, babe. What the fuck? You forgot how old am I?
Wait, you sure? I'll be 35 this year?
Yes.
I'm not 33.
No, you're 34.
Yeah. I what the fuck?
Exactly.
Breaking news.
So I'm like, I'll be 33 this year, and I don't want to have kids past 35. So it's like, am I going to be ready in the next year or two to have one more kid? Wow. And then I think of if we are in a place in a few years where we're like, oh my God, like we could have one more kid. Like, why not explore the avenue of adoption.
I think it was a puppy.
No, adoption.
Yeah.
Do you think that's something you'll ever consider?
Right now I can say that it's probably a no for me, but it's not something I'm like, it's not a hard no.
Why is it probably a no?
It's just,
be honest, don't hold back.
Listen, when you really get down to it, in a sense, I've already done it, right? Mm-hmm. Eli is not biologically my son, but he's my son. Mm-hmm. But I also know that he came from you. Mm-hmm. So I guess that made it like a little bit more digestible. That like I was loving someone that I love you, so I love what came from you.
So you think it's not possible to love a child that's adopted?
It's just a lot of concerns. I don't know.
What are they? What are the concerns?
He's like, keep on digging, Travis. I don't know. I honestly haven't given much thought. Like I know we spoke about it once, and I don't feel like I have a fully thought out answer to that. Yeah. I do have some hesitation in just saying yes, though. I don't know what that means, but I'm not completely closed off to it.
Yeah. I feel like for me, like I know with Eli's pregnancy, like you're pregnant the whole time, and then there's like this love that kind of forms and develops, and I didn't really feel it until right when I was about to have him. Then with River's pregnancy, it felt like different. Like I did feel that love, that excitement, that like, oh my God, like I'm pregnant now. Like, so sometimes I feel like maybe that's the piece that a lot of people feel like they'll be missing, that like you didn't grow the baby inside of you. But because of my experience the first time around, I think it's a false requirement of love for children,
because it was literally like, all right, stop, you're about to be a mother in a few minutes, here we go.
That's when it hit me, you know. And just like in romantic love, like we feel like there needs to be this spark, like this moment that's like, oh my God, like this is the one. And it's like, no, like I feel like that might not be there. You could develop love for someone. And I feel like with adoption, and it's also not like we decide now and we go to like a child store and just get a kid. It's like a process. It's something it's a journey. It's a different journey than pregnancy, but it's still a journey nonetheless.
Yeah.
Again, I know you don't have a vasectomy yet. I'm still not at that age where I'm like, I don't want to have children anymore. So it's not something I would consider now. My thought is like, if we have that feeling of regret in, let's say I'm 40 or you got a vasectomy and I'm 37, that regret wouldn't settle too long, because I know there are other ways. Options, there's other options. And it's also that impact you make on someone's life who knows what could have happened if they didn't come into your life. And I think just like you and I are family and we met as adults, and now we're going to spend the rest of our lives together, I believe that adopted children, they're meant to be with the parents who they end up with.
Yeah, it's fate.
Yeah. It sounds cheesy, but I think like that's your story.
Yeah. Listen, I believe in fate. I always, even when we discuss how we met, I always think about how all these things had to happen in order for us to bump into each other.
Even all the mistakes we made in our lives, everything, like so many things up to that day.
Yeah.
If they didn't happen, we wouldn't have ended up in the same place at the same time.
Lusty.
And even like that guy hitting mommy, if he wasn't there, maybe like the window would have never opened up for us to talk. Like so many little things have to happen, which sometimes I'm not convinced is fate. I'm like, I think it's just a series of coincidences that just happen to work in our favor. But like, I get what you mean. Yeah. I was going to read something else. So I also looked up like, why do people stop having kids. So we looked at why people have kids, why they stop having kids. And it says there was this study conducted, and then they realized there are 4 primary factors that motivates people to stop procreating. And it says satiation, so like being satisfied. I feel that I already have enough children. I don't feel that it's necessary, that I have the necessary energy to take care of another child. I feel complete with the children that I have. That's kind of like where we are. Lack of time. I don't have enough time to dedicate to them. Due to professional responsibilities, I don't have the time to dedicate to the children I already have. Again, that's part of why we've decided that. Pragmatic reasons, like financial reasons. The conditions in the world are so negative that I wouldn't want to bring more children into the world. There's no space in the house for another child. I think about that all the time. Like, oh my God, we would need a bigger car. Like we don't even have a room separate for River right now. So it's like, oh my God. And then the last one, biological constraints. There's a serious illness in my family, and I wouldn't want to have children that are likely to suffer from those illnesses. I had a difficult pregnancy with my wife, or my wife had a difficult pregnancy with our previous child or children. I have health problems that make it difficult and impossible to have more kids, although I would like to.
Just quickly on the health thing, I think about that, right? We just talk about fate and all the things that had to happen right for us to meet each other. When you think about all the things that have to happen right for you to have a baby, and not only have a baby, but have a healthy baby, not only physically, but also mentally. You are potentially rolling the dice every time you do decide to have a child.
Absolutely.
So I look at my 2 boys, and they are my love personified, right? They're like, it couldn't get any better.
Yeah.
But I'm also come from a place of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like privilege. Okay. Because they're both healthy. They're both intelligent. They're both pretty as ever. And it's like, do I want to potentially roll that dice again? I don't. And I know, like, when those type of things happen to people, they just,
you find a way to overcome.
You find a way, and you're gonna get it done. You're gonna love and take care of your child.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm sure a lot of parents who do deal with those things, it is difficult. So that's something I do think about as well.
Yeah, and there are some people who they know they have a genetic gene for it, or it runs in their family, and they kind of make informed decisions on whether they're going to have kids or not based on that. I always think about, doesn't Nick Cannon have like lupus? He's like sick, right? And I think about that, like, is that genetic? He's having like so many kids. I don't know. I'm not going to speak too much on it because I don't know how it works. But I think about that a lot. Like, if I had some genetic something, it will probably impact my decision making on having more kids or not.
Yeah.
All right, baby. I think we're all set. Let me look at, where did I put oh, here it is. Yeah. So where do we stand to close this out?
I think I should get a vasectomy.
Really?
And this is why I go back and forth.
Listen, I was set on it.
I was set on it too.
The other night you said, honestly, I wasn't really all set on it as much as I said I was.
I did make it seem like I was like more for it
than you really were.
Than I really was. I am hesitant, and I couldn't even explain why I'm so hesitant. It's just, I don't know. It's scary. And it's not like I'm like, oh, nervous about the procedure. It's just, and I know it's probably not even that final. I'm pretty sure it can be reversed, but whatever. Mm-hmm. It just does kind of feel final. Mm-hmm. Listen, I didn't think we were going to have River.
Yeah.
So, and I know based off of our lovemaking style, it probably I'd be doing us a disservice by not getting it done. I think I'm leaning more towards getting it done.
Yeah. I do have that slight, like, what if I do end up wanting a kid in a few years? And then I honestly, like, I think I would explore adoption.
Yeah.
I do sometimes be like, oh, maybe I feel like social media influences me on like having regrets about not doing certain things during my last pregnancy, like taking certain photos or like doing certain things to remember it. And I'm like, maybe I need to relive a pregnancy, but like, that's not a reason to have a kid. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like sometimes when I do decide, like maybe I want one more, it always feels selfish. Because I think we need to think about what that means for the human life that you're bringing into this world.
And then also, what does that mean for the lives that we are already taking care of? Mm-hmm. Just really quick before we wrap this up, like yesterday, Eli was begging me to play a video game with him. And it's just one of those things I just kept like pushing off because in my mind, I'm like,
we're going out.
We're about to do an activity with you, but this is something he's been asking for days, and I've just been pushing it off. And that's like the perfect example of what am I going to do when there's a third where I really have to say no other than for my own personal or my own selfish reasons where I just want to say no because I don't feel like it. But what's going to happen when it's like I have River and a newborn and it's like I literally can't. I physically can't. That's not fair to him.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think I'm leaning towards it.
I was so proud of Eli.
Yeah, he stood firm. He's like, no, you promised me.
And I was quiet, and the whole time I was like, Travis needs to play the game with him. But I didn't want to interject because I was like, he's parenting in his moment. And then I also wanted Eli to stand his ground and kind of defend himself. And he was doing a great job. So
I was like, how about we watch a movie? He's like, no.
And then I just said, Eli, what's going on? And he explained it to me. And I was like, I just shook my head up and down. Like, and he goes, you see, even mommy agrees. And I was like, shit.
I forgot about that part.
And I didn't want to like interject. I didn't want to say like, babe, like you should play with him. But yeah.
He's like,
yep.
But yeah, that to me is like a example. And I feel like the vasectomy is one of those things. It's like, I know the right thing to do. I just got to do it. Yeah. Next episode is going to be called I Got Snipped.
Oh, God. All right, baby.
My love. Well, hold on. We got some quick things.
What?
Just our usual rundown.
Okay.
Watching on YouTube, tell us what you thought about this conversation. Have you got a vasectomy? Tell me how it was.
Are you adopted?
Are you adopted?
Have you adopted children?
What is self-love to you? You watch the episode. Let us know in the comments. If you're not watching on YouTube and you want to DM us some stuff or you want to send us an email, we have a contact us on our website, we still like each other.com. YouTube, like, subscribe, leave a comment. Y'all know the algorithm loves all that. If you're listening on any podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, leave us a 5-star review. On Apple, I believe you can also add some words there as well. We appreciate you all. If you want some extra content from us, patreon.com/we still like each other. We just had a really fun interactive recap.
Yes, it was so fun.
I think it's the most people we've had on a Zoom at once. And with the interactive recaps, you can join just by joining the $3 tier. So consider it. And you can also watch all the old ones. They're very enjoyable.
And if you don't have time for extra content, but you want to show us some love in the form of money, we do sell merch on our website. We have t-shirts and stickers. So check it out.
Yes. My love.
Daddy. Do
you still like me?
I still like you. Do you still like me?
I still like you.
All right.
You gonna take care of me after I get a vasectomy?
That's probably why he had more kids. Probably rushed to have sex, didn't let it heal.
He didn't pump 20 times. Peace, y'all.
Peace.